diluted real quick with cold water though. Make it drinkable. And to stop the release of BPAs.
I don't understand why you do that. That hurts my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adding water to coffee?
If it's too hot, it's too hot. Don't keep it so hot.
Drink it hot. Just let your tongue burn.
Yeah.
The only thing that matters is caffeine. The flavor is secondary.
It's not even flavor, it's comfort. It makes the flavor worse.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll get ready to go here. Hello, listeners, again. Welcome back to the Food System Revolution. I'm Chris Clark. This is Levi. I'm the founder of Clark's Cubes. He's all things social media and content. The purpose of the show here is to chat about sustainability in our food system. We'll take a look at everything from package design to farming practices and review everything in between. So this week, I almost said today, well, today we're talking about it too. But this week we're going to dive deeper into the material of plastic, like what it actually is, why it's a problem, what the substitutes are, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm pumped, man. I know both of us are kind of on the edge of our seats right now because we're like shooting from the hip right now.
A little bit shooting from the hip. So this is something important that we think about a lot. We do a lot of research into because of all this awareness that's kind of starting to get out there about the issues of plastics being in the ocean, microplastics. You hear all these things, viral stories, yada yada yada. So like, what is it? What makes it so bad? It's plastics are usually made from petroleum products like oil substrates, that kind of stuff. So you're looking at extracting fossil fuels to create them.
The weird thing about plastic is that it comes from oil, I think.
Yeah.
Because everything comes from oil. The reason that people are so gung-ho on oil is because it's like the only product on the face of the planet that we use the whole thing. Like you extract like the petroleum from the oil and then you use it for fuel, and then like what's ever left over you can use it for tar and like all these types of things. Yeah.
So there's never any byproduct?
There's never any byproduct.
Aside from all the gas we release.
Aside from all the carbon emissions and all of the plastic bottles that are floating around in the ocean, aside from all of that. But like when the oil is extracted, like, you know, we take certain parts of it, but the whole thing is used, which is why there are like people that are like, oh yeah, fossil fuel is the only way to go. Right. It's like, you know, it creates the most energy or whatever they want to say.
So it's super efficient.
Yeah, it's
our
process is super efficient.
Yeah.
But that's because we put a lot of technology into it.
And effort into building the infrastructure to support all these things.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's undeniably so useful. I mean, that's the same with plastic. So oil, and now we're kind of divulging here. Oil and plastic. I don't care. I'm game. Let's go. It's so damn useful though. Like you think about oil, or if you. Geez, we're going to like societal build here. So,
I mean, like we can.
Like we need energy. Humans need to consume, right? So they need all this food input. We need energy.
Absolutely.
We need energy to process pretty much anything, to move anything, to do anything. So what's the source of energy? Like, well, for a long time it was oil, right? Because it was easy. You could pull it, you could get it out of the ground, you could ship it in containers anywhere, and a small amount of it creates a large amount of heat energy, and that heat energy can be used to heat things or create electricity. You know, make steam, create electricity. So that's what we see with like coal-fired plants and natural gas-fired plants and regular oil and gas-fired plants. Is they're burning that oil to release the energy, create the heat to generate electricity.
Right.
And this is highly reliable, so we can keep pumping this out of the ground anytime we want.
Right.
Whether it's raining outside, whether we're in the Arctic or the South Pole, or
right.
Also, it's just highly damaging, unfortunately. Right. We're finding out a couple hundred years later.
A couple hundred years too late. It's kind of like cigarettes. Everyone was like, oh, these are healthy for you. And then like 2000s roll around and people are like, yeah. That kind of thing happens.
So it's kind of the same thing with the plastics here. Like we gotta find solutions that are as convenient, as useful, as easily transported, probably to work with the existing infrastructure Right, there's always challenges to change that you got to address, and the same with what we're doing with the packaging. Plastic, again, highly useful. It's really cheap to make. You can make really big quantities of it. That's kind of why it's cheap to make. It's got a high barrier film, so which means like moisture and
what plastic are you
bacteria.
talking about?
We're talking about petroleum-based plastics.
Right. Okay.
Packaging plastics like PLA and P. A lot of P's in there. PLA and PLE and like all these different kinds.
I'm sure there are 100. We could probably Google that right now, and we come up
Hundreds.
with like a million different types, but they're all
Hundreds. Yeah, and they're obviously got tons of different uses. Some are rigid, some are flexible, like the packaging we're talking about. But the packaging we're talking about, flexible, has really high barrier to oxygen, air, like oxygen, moisture, basically air. And they give them numbers where they say low, medium, high. And pretty much all the petroleum-based plastics are high barrier, and that's really important for ensuring food safety when you're talking about shipping any kind of food goods across the country and changing so many hands from distributors to truck drivers to the store packers, and then the hundreds of customers who are picking things up, putting them back, maybe even opening them and putting them back. See a lot of weird stuff.
Right, but the thing to note is it's incredibly effective, but it's also incredibly damaging.
Yeah. So
like especially to like the environment and ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was like this one time on like I don't know, like Dr. Phil or something. They brought in this guy that was obsessed with drinking coffee, and they showed him like in plastic bags or in plastic barrels in like powder form, like this is how much plastic you've consumed just from drinking coffee.
Damn.
And that's when you think about putting hot water into your Nalgene, how dare you?
Call that reusable, highly reusable. The last man is 100 years.
Should have gotten stainless steel.
I got one of those too.
Mason jar or something. Looked like a hippie carrying around a mason jar.
Yeah.
With a little knitted cozy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's good.
But yeah, drawing back.
So what was? Sorry.
Effective.
I'm still stuck on that barrel thing though. So, if you're drinking pods, is what you're saying.
If you're drinking pods, or if you're just getting like to-go cups.
Okay.
Of coffee, like because it's
year. Is it in the course of a year?
In the course of a year, it depends on like how much you're consuming, but it's like, you know, if you look at it, it's something like, you know, like 30-40 pounds of plastic.
A 55-gallon barrel.
Right. If you're like getting out a barrel and you're showing someone in powder form, like these are the nanoplastics and microplastics that you're consuming, like when you think about coffee and tea.
Yeah, I would love to see that. We need a Jamie from Joe. We can just pull up.
What we really need to do is we need to just cut this video to the take of like.
That's really what we need to do.
Yeah.
That's a time and effort, though.
I wonder if that can be done. Future Levi, I'm looking at you. Cut this video, see what you can do. All right.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, this will just be like a really awkward moment.
It's okay. That's okay. Week 2. We'll be alright, we'll brush it off. So I mean, bottom line, plastic's super useful because of the properties it has and keeping people safe. It's also, like Levi's pointing out, we've been pointing out, is it's really damaging. And so, you know, coming to know this, being just a conscientious human being, you should be thinking about what the solutions are.
Yeah.
So when looking into that, what these chemists are doing, the challenge they face is they've got to create something similar that can break down very fast and have the same qualities, the same properties that these plastic films have.
Right. They need to survive all of the shipping, all of the packaging,
And last a while for long shelf life. Yeah, and if
but also when I put it into soil, it's got to turn into soil.
Got to turn it back into dirt.
Yeah.
And in some respectable timeline, right? Not 500 plus years, and then it doesn't actually fully break down. It breaks into these microplastics, which get into the guts of all phytoplankton, and the fish that eat those phytoplankton, and it just builds up, kind of like mercury, actually. There's a lot of mercury in tuna.
Right.
A lot of the cause of that is from like mining runoff. It builds up from the fish that they eat, and it just ends up in the bottom. Yeah, basically these tiny toxins end up in the bottom level of our food system, and the concentrations build the higher up the food system you go. We're starting to find out very similar things with microplastics in the ocean.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why it's a big deal. We get a lot of our food from there.
Yeah.
Treat it well for biodiversity reasons. Wow.
And it matters.
Off topic again.
I feel like this is not off topic.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to stick on the line though of the balance between the properties of plastic and then making it go away fast and in a organic fashion.
Yeah. No, I think this is working.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We're getting back on it. So yeah, plastic lasts a super long time. That's kind of why, and it doesn't allow very much air or moisture or particles through it, and that's kind of why it does last a long time. And then, but that's also why it's useful and effective, is it doesn't allow much through it. So that means like things like moisture and oxygen can't get through it. And even if they do, this is a synthetic material. It doesn't get metabolized, broken down the same way organic matter does. But if you make it with organic matter, like these corn-based, like these CPLAs, corn-based resins and stuff. It's really hard for them to make it high barrier, and if they do make it high barrier, again, not as much oxygen, not as much moisture can get through to break it down in a respectable amount of time. So it's this balance between high barrier, like getting a high barrier with organic matter, really hard to do, and then getting that high barrier to also break down rapidly. So it's like you want properties that give it this high barrier, but those same properties make it hard to break down, but you also want it to break down.
Right.
It's a really tough set of challenges that we're throwing at our materials engineers, really our material scientists. But they're doing a damn good job. So
it's not impossible.
It's not
right.
impossible.
Right. One of the reasons, like one of the things that like really frustrates me is like 10 years, like, okay, a little bit off topic, but like one of the things that really frustrates me is like 10 years ago, I would even say like 5 years ago, if I were vegan, like that would be unheard of. People would be like, what do you eat? Like rice and beans every single day? Which I do. I don't have any complaints about that. But like the reason that like veganism was pushed aside is because no one was putting any technology into plant-based foods.
Making
like
it taste good,
making it taste
supply
good.
chain.
Right, exactly. The supply chain and everything like that, because like, you know, the beef market is beefy, it's big, and it
people
just
buy
like
beef. Why would we get away from that?
Yeah, exactly.
Plenty of money to be added.
Exactly, and I feel like the same thing like applies to the fossil fuels and like the oil industry. Like all of the technology and all of the effort and time is put into, you know, oil-based, petroleum-based products, and like now we're just figuring out, oh man, this is harmful. So like we start putting just this little bit of energy, because like I would even say like 5 years ago, like this recently, like 5 years ago, would we even have like bioplastics that would work for Clark's cubes?
Probably not, actually. A lot of this stuff is really new.
Like it's very new, but since we started putting effort into it, it works.
The guys we use, it takes effort to find it still. So like now we're at the stage where like they've been doing the research for 9-10 plus years. The guys were using it, and I think they got their big grants and stuff in 2011. We rolled the product out in 2015, if I remember correctly.
No kidding.
But so here's the thing: is it does cost us for the same volume level, same quantities of bags. It costs us almost a little bit more than double to get the biofilm.
No kidding.
It does everything we want it to do. Like has a barrier that lasts long enough to give us the shelf life we want, and then will break down quickly afterwards. And that's like supplyability, right? It's just a new product. They own the IP for it. So they're charging a premium for something that does all these things that we want, as well as they've got supply challenges. Their infrastructure for making that material is not at the scale of the infrastructure that exists for the petroleum-based plastics. And so the economies of scale, they're not going to be able to compete for a long time on unit price. But us as consumers, if we're willing to make the choice to pay for the items that companies like us are yeah, we'll be a little bit more expensive, but we're paying up to make the right decision to use these products that are better for all of us. And if we all keep making these decisions to buy products from a company like us, they will be able to hit those economies of scale to match the price of plastics, and then there's literally no excuse left. Now you're talking about it's just a simple math game, and all the finance guys in the world love that. So all your big major corporations will follow suit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like the story of like, you know, little towns in the middle of Texas like going completely electric, and even though they love oil, it's like way cheaper, you know.
Really?
Like that kind of thing. What's up?
Oh, we have podcast going.
No worries.
We'll clip you out. Pardon the interruption.
Star guest.
Pardon the interruption.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Because Clark's Cubes have always come in tins, and they've always come with a little plastic baggie on the inside. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have we always used that?
No.
Ah.
Yeah, we've gone through many iterations of this as we learn more about the materials and stuff. So at first we didn't use any plastic whatsoever. Our very first launch, we were throwing the cubes in the tin, but there's a little bit of parchment paper to protect them.
Okay.
But then we found out about barriers and humidity and moisture. A lot of that product was not so good anymore after just a few weeks of exposure to humidity. So I ended up refunding a lot of people, taking a lot of product back. It was a learning experience. So then we switched to
just
plastic.
parchment paper.
Yeah.
Dude, I could let me take a piece of paper and staple it. Maybe.
We're trying to do like 1,000.
Yeah.
Every extra move.
Right. But like from the beginning, you had that in mind. You're like, I don't want to use plastic. Let me get with parchment paper and see if that works out. Okay.
So then we started researching all these like biofilms and stuff,
Right.
And then they throw words at you like what's compostable versus biodegradable, and marine biodegradable, home compostable, industrial compostable.
Right, and they all mean different things. They all have their little nuances, and you know.
FDA is starting to crack down on this, which is good. But basically, like when you break it down, is a lot of the stuff that we were looking at. We switched to a compostable CPLA, but we find out later it's industrial compostable, meaning if it ends up on the ground, it's not going to compost. It has to go through a industrial compost, like the parameters that are set by an industrial composting facility, which is somewhere around like 140 degrees for and I think like whatever X amount of humidity level.
Okay.
And so they artificially create this environment, right, and sustain it over. So then it composts over like a week or so, and they design it to compost in that environment.
Right.
Problem with that is this,
tons of energy.
Yeah, tons of energy, but I think the bigger problem, same problem with that is the same problem with recycling now is that not enough infrastructure exists to do this effectively and efficiently.
Right.
Right.
Like the only places you could recycle right now are Hawaii and Maine.
Exactly.
If you recycle anywhere else, it just kind of goes in a landfill.
Yeah, exactly. So it's got to make it to the facility, and that's already the problem with like recycling and trash. It's like, oh yeah, all these companies are like, it's recyclable. All our stuff is recyclable. But like, I think 30 in the United States, which is like a great area for recycling, only like 30% ends up being recycled. The rest is too gunked up or doesn't actually make it into the right recycling receptacles. Either it doesn't make it in the right receptacle, or it's too gunked up when they pick it to recycle it. They can't run it through the machine, so they burn it. That's the either burn it or put it in landfill. Okay, not very many good options for
no. So you had industrial grade compostable bags?
Yeah.
At one point?
Yeah, and so of course, but they just say compostable. They're compostable, so it's like as a small business buyer who's like, oh great, that's exactly what I need.
Right, it's not exactly what you need.
Not exactly what you need. And then that first version wasn't even high barrier. Again, with the biofilms.
Oh, okay.
A challenge is like getting that high barrier.
Right. So if you had it like in a humid environment, it would be
right. It was better than no film.
Sure.
but not
I got you.
great.
I got you. Right. And weren't those also the bags that were like hard to get out of the tin?
Yeah, those are the same ones. Yeah. So yeah, since then we're in a better. Yeah, we're in a better. Yeah, we got the right film.
You do have the right film now.
Learn
How did
enough
you
things.
How did you eventually find that film?
Oh, just calling.
1,000 phone calls.
Google searching the parameters that we need, like literally just typing in like high barrier biocompostable, like biofilm compostable. Like what is it we need? Ask Google for it. Google gives me back, how many pages of search results, and you start clicking through them.
So was there like a light bulb moment where you like discovered the exact film that you wanted, or is it just like, or did someone say like, hey, have you tried this?
There's a couple that like would have worked, and so we start calling through them, and I think one of them was based in we'll just say an expensive area of the world, and in Europe, and it's like, okay, they're not gonna be able to hit the prices the guys producing bags out of, say, Vietnam or Mexico or even the United States. It's gonna be higher than someone producing out of the United States even. So it's not even worth going down that path. Then I think another producer. Again, we're a small company. They're not even interested in talking with us about the volume levels we're talking about.
Right.
And I think actually the main thing with them was that it wasn't printable, and we were looking for something that could be pulled on. Anyway, we're getting into our machinery now, but for the new pack machines we're looking at, so we could pull continuous feed of this material through and be as it's packing each individual unit.
Right. Isn't that called a flow?
That's the flow pack. Yeah.
Okay.
Which we've decided against. We're not doing flow packing.
Okay.
But they couldn't do that basically. It couldn't be printed on, and it wasn't like durable enough to be pulled through on that reel. But the third people, they're able to apply some like strong structure to it. It was also organic, compostable, and so those are the guys we went with. But we don't even need that printability feature anymore. But they're just better. They're better. We went with them. They want to work with us. They're good. They're good guys. They support big companies too, so they got the capacity to grow.
I have one more question for you. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
So we went over the plastic that we're currently using, which is compostable. What are we? Do you want to talk about what we're going to package within the future? If that's going to change at all or anything like that?
Yeah, so we're rolling out a new box. I know we've asked a lot of you, in our email blast, if you're on our email list, you heard about us asking about the new tubes. So those we're kind of working on sourcing just a few to get out to you people who signed up to be pre-order testers. But the other thing that you're talking about, which I'm excited about, is we're getting new.
Are you excited? I can't.
We're getting new.
There you go. Take a sip.
Let's get goose stuff for this. There we go.
Sometimes you need that minute, just
extra jolt.
that extra jolt, especially when you're talking so much, your mouth starts to dry up and you start to get nervous. Anyway, yeah.
So yeah, we're getting
new packaging,
new boxes. Yeah. So more feedback we've had from a lot of you guys about our current refill boxes is they're too small. They're the same size as the tin, and you want it bigger. If you're gonna buy and pay for the shipping, you don't want to pay for all that packaging. You just want the bigger size of the cubes to refill with. Another thing we've been hearing is people want them in a better format for just sitting on their desk or at home. And then obviously we've had a bunch of hotels and office buildings approach us, but they all want them individually wrapped for food safety reasons. And we're like, we're against individually wrapping. But what we can do is we can individually wrap them in recycled wax paper. So
that's exciting.
So this is going to give us the protection of each individual piece to allow for multiple people to be reaching into the same box. So like an office or a hotel. And the box is going to be built with a little trap door. So when you buy it, you rip it open, and now you get a little dispenser, almost like a gravity-fed dispenser built right into the box. Yeah. It'd be a bigger size and less packaging per unit, right? It would be more units in the same box, which costs about the same as the little boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're eliminating a lot of little boxes there, so we should be able to hit a more, slightly better price point for you guys, the consumers.
And is the wax paper compostable as well?
Yeah, that's completely, it's like paper.
It's paper.
And
It's paper.
The wax is also
It's
organic wax.
It's funny, you've almost gone full circle.
Yes.
Right, because you started out with the parchment paper, which didn't work out, and then you got the industrial grade.
That's right.
Then you got
Yeah.
and then you got the right plastic finally, and then you're going.
Going back to individually wrapping.
Right.
There's a use for individual wrapping. There's a reason
Right,
people do that.
Right, but it's I mean,
fought the stream long enough. But we figured out the right way to do it finally, right?
Right.
So we go back to the paper, and then, but even the paper, like make the right decisions about paper. Are you clear cutting forests to make that paper, or are you reusing paper that's already in existence, or are you getting it from really easily sustainable sources? Like you could argue that a forest is sustainable because it regrows in 50 years, but that's 50 years of carbon sink lost, gone as soon as you cut it. So
right.
Would it be better to use like papyrus or hemp paper? Like yes, because it's an annual plant that matter's gonna die and release carbon anyway. Like, yes, 100 times better.
Right.
So yeah, again, just thinking about sourcing, asking yourself the hard questions.
Yeah.
And it's work. Like, it's not easy. It fucking sucks. but I mean, I feel obligated to do the right damn thing, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Lead the way.
No, that's awesome. I think, and that's exactly the way it should be. Like companies have to lead the way.
Yep.
Like it's up to us individuals to like vote on policies and and try to encourage and influence the companies to like change the ways that they package things, because I vote with my dollars by going to places that I believe in that have sustainable cultures and renewable resources and things like that. But I can only go so far. If I'm gonna go out and go eat food and someone hands me a styrofoam plate, it's like, dag.
You weren't making you're not making the big purchasing decision. You're making the small one.
Right.
But if the guys making the big purchasing decisions never give you the option, you can't make the influence with your decision, with your purchase.
Right. It's important.
It's got to happen at all levels.
Yeah.
Which means the content social media guys need to get the word out.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Absolutely.
He's doing a great job.
So, I think we're about to wrap this up.
Yeah, I think we're wrapping this up now.
Yeah.
You want to talk about where you can find us, where you can follow us?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to wrap up the whole thing, if you're trying to find a sustainable way to consume coffee or tea, and you don't want anyone to show you how much plastic that you've consumed in the year and contributed to the environment, Clark's Cubes for sure. You can find us at clarkscubes.com, sign up for our newsletter. We're always sending out deals there, and we're always letting you know what's going on.
Asking you guys for your feedback.
Asking you for your feedback.
So you can influence my decisions.
Yes, because we want you guys to be, a part of this, because the individual people have voices.
Yeah.
Right? They have a part in. They almost have a part in the company almost.
Yeah. I'd love to make it all for me, but then we wouldn't be able to keep going on our mission because we wouldn't sell very much product.
That's absolutely true. Our podcasts, of course, you can find them on YouTube. You can also find them on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify, and anywhere else you're going to listen to podcasts, really.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Clark's Cubes. Really anywhere at Clark's Cubes. Facebook at Clark's Cubes. Reddit at Clark's Cubes. So, it's cute.
YouTube. Or you already said that.
I already said YouTube.
Yeah, you already said YouTube.
Yeah, I'm on it.
You're good. You're on.
Yeah. Do you have an outro?
Oh, I don't have an outro yet. Yeah. I talked about this last time too. I don't have an outro. Good. Subscribe and email us, guys. Tell me what you're thinking. Love to hear your feedback. Even if it takes me a little bit to respond. I'm reading them. I really am.
He does. He reads everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's not even funny.
It might take me a bit to get to it, but I get to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright guys, thanks for listening, and then we'll do this again next week. Boom. That was it.
Boom.
I
I felt like that was good.
felt that's better than last time.
I think so too.
I did catch myself keep looking at you the entire time I'm talking about you. When I'm delivering, I need to be looking at the camera.
I see. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I am listening to you and looking at you,
Yeah.
which is
When
how
you're listening, I think that's supposed to happen.
Yeah, right.
But when we're delivering.